Welcome back, everybody, to the DreamHack Zowie Open. It's game time. It's a big match coming up, but I'm sure everybody is very excited for. Scarlett versus puCK is just around the corner. It's our last game here on the first day of the WCS Summer Championship and the DreamHack Zowie Open. Thank you to our sponsors, of course, Zowie, Razer, G2A, Monster Energy, and of course, Alienware. And of course, do go to social media, hashtag DHOpen and WCS for this awesome upcoming match. On the panel here, we have 3 experts to bring us this final game. Before we talk about that though, let's go back a little bit and think to the game we just saw. An interesting one. Drogo finally kind of defeating his demons to beat a Terran player to go through to the next round, Artosis.
Yeah, you know, but he wasn't showing like a lot of confidence afterwards. I gotta say, he's kind of winning me over as a fan because he's like, you can see him through the emotional journey of trying to be a pro gamer in the hardest game ever made, and it's a tough one, man.
Well, it's an interesting mountain to try to climb, right? Because you slowly start to see your success, but then with that success, you also have to build that same amount of confidence, and then with that confidence, that feeds back into how well you're going to play here, and eventually you get that cycle going, but it's really cool to see him developing as a player.
Yeah. He's talked about it all year, the chip on his shoulder from the victory at Leipzig, and it's something that every tournament he goes into now, it's the first thing people bring up. It's like, oh, he was one of the first champions of the entire year. Yeah. We expect him to put up good results, and he's had a bit of a rough time with that ever since that victory.
And it showed in that post-game interview there, just zero confidence. It literally is nothing. He doesn't have any at all. But hopefully that can try and build itself in this tournament, as he'll need confidence if he's going to win it, that's for sure. Well, let's take a quick look at the bracket so we can see where we are, as we only have one single game left to complete the round of 16. puCK versus Scarlett. The winner will play Nurture. So good luck there.
You're kidding me. Oh my god.
But the round of 16 looking pretty awesome.
Here's your prize. You get to play Nurture in the round of 16. That is the little side of death over there. That little 1/4 the bracket. Look how crazy that is.
Yeah.
Thermal, he just won a tournament. Neeb, hottest new player that there is.
In the finals
Nurture, best foreigner, and then either Scarlett or puCK.
That's a pretty stacked quadrant of the bracket for sure.
Absolutely, and you know, that, like you said, there's only one game left in the schedule. We've had 7 awesome matches so far today. 1 left to go, puCK versus Scarlett. We can turn our attention to this game, and it's going to be hopefully I say, fingers crossed, an exciting one, as Scarlett does come back from Korea, been training, been practicing, going up against puCK, who I know you are, my dear friend, a big fan of.
Yeah, I'm good friends with puCK. Talk to him all the time. I spent a lot of time with him after his performance actually in Shanghai. He's been a bit indifferent about it, which is kind of weird, because to me, puCK's the kind of player who can get very upset. I think he's been known as a more emotional player. He's improved on that in this year, but it also hasn't translated into big results for him yet. So he seems to come into every tournament being like, yeah, I'm going to give it my best shot, but you know, he hasn't quite shown that big spark, especially I think in PvZ, a matchup that he used to be extremely known for playing well in, but it's been a little bit tricky. He had some pretty rough PvZs earlier in the last couple tournaments, as Roddy and I were talking about earlier.
You know, it's interesting. He strikes me as a very unassuming guy, which can be very endearing. But Scarlett is just somebody who I feel like is programmed to continue to get better and better. She's been out training in Korea, working really hard there. I think we might see a lot of those benefits panning out here in this series.
You know, I really like the attitude that she's adopted recently on like social media and stuff. She was saying, God, you know, well, you can see the crowd very much behind her, being a Canadian player, of course. But like, she's kind of been like very humble lately. Like, wow, the more I watch these top end pros, the more I feel like I have so far to go. And I think that that's like a really healthy growth mindset, because she's been in Korea practicing really hard, training very hard over there. And I'm very excited to see where she's at skill-wise right now.
I think she would have put in, well, you'd expect, and I hope so, she would have put in a lot of practice for this tournament. She knows what it means to a lot of people who are obviously going to be coming out here traveling to watch her play specifically, almost, more so than just a tournament. So there's a lot of expectations that she's got to meet.
This is definitely going to be the first big test of this tournament for coming back here. Right. How will she perform? It's not just about winning, it's about the execution overall. Yeah. Does she have that appearance and play style of somebody who's been grinding in the environment that creates the best StarCraft 2 players?
And puCK is no pushover. Like, if she doesn't bring her top A game, he will crush her. So, I mean, this is I guess this is the time for us to see. She's been in Korea. Is it paying off?
Yeah, puCK's played a lot of his own styles throughout the tournaments and this year. It has not paid off very well at all in the last few tournaments from in PvZ, so I think this is also an interesting test to see if puCK is going to find a way to rise after his previous failures or if he's just going to fizzle out now at the last championship of the year.
Well, there's only one way to find out. Nick, let's get into the game very shortly. Predictions though, RO32, where are you going with this one?
I'm going with Scarlett. Absolutely. It's her hometown crowd here in Canada. She's also been playing in Korea for quite some time now. I've got to go with Scarlett. I think she's going to take puCK down 3-1.
Yeah, I'm going to say essentially the same thing as RO32 here. I feel like just based off everything that we know about StarCraft and StarCraft being such an old game where we really see where the best players come from, I can't imagine Scarlett not winning 3-1. If that does not happen, I'm going to be very surprised. 3-2 I'm fine with as well, but Scarlett should come out on top here. Who knows, maybe even 3-0.
That wouldn't surprise me. I want to put a little bit more faith behind my boy and probably go still 3-2 in favor of Scarlett because she has been looking a little bit stronger in these matchups specifically. If puCK hasn't changed up his PvZ, he's just going to have a really hard time. Makes way too many Blink Stalkers in these games.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. We're moments away from starting this game. One final thing, though, before we jump into it, courtesy of our sponsors, G2A, there is a €2,000 contest up for grabs, prizes for €2,000. Just go to g2a.com/DHOpen for your chance to win some prizes. All right, not going to delay this any longer. It's time to jump into this one with the casting team. It's going to be Tastosis for Scarlett versus puCK.
Thank you, Apollo. I got to say, RO32, this is kind of the match I think everybody's been waiting for here tonight. USA versus Canada. It's our last match here tonight. Should be fantastic.
Yeah, USA versus Canada. War as old as time, Tastosis.
That's right.
Can't wait to see which country truly comes out on top. And, you know, it should be a good one. The best match we could have finished on tonight.
Absolutely. I really think that the training that Scarlett has had in Korea, I know from speaking with her quite often in Korea, she's taking it very seriously. She's not wasting her time. She's not simply vacationing out there. So she should have a lot of tools at her disposal to potentially disarm her opponent.
Yeah, but you know what? puCK is really, really strong. I do not want to overlook him. You know, he has recently rejoined OSC Root and definitely has always been a top contending American, has kind of his own style.
Right.
Very good with micro, very good with execution, things like disruptors, speed warp prisms. We'll see how he does.
All right, guys, we are in our game. This is the last best of 5 tonight. Our player in the... Hold up. Pause. And when we resume the game, I'll go ahead and intro those players. It looks like there may be a... Feels bad, man. I think we'll be hopping back into this, but just to kind of go off what you were saying as well, RO32, before we had that delay there. I think this is going to be, a pretty exciting match. I think we can all agree that I think Scarlett's supposed to come out on top here, but also you come back to a different environment, trying different play styles. Sometimes it doesn't quite mesh well with the different meta when you return back.
That
Players
is true.
do play well.
Yeah, the metas are different across servers and whatnot, but I think that she's probably pretty confident here. puCK was having some problems with inverted mouse drag, I think, and Scarlett helping her opponent, letting him know how to fix that. So
it's always a little bit of a headache as a player when you have a hiccup immediately before the game starts. There really is this sort of tempo that you want to follow so that you can execute everything correctly and get that rhythm going so the game can then pan out into mid-game and into late game. So I think we should have this sorted out pretty quickly here. And I believe we do. Let's try this a second time around. In the upper left from the USA, make some noise for puCK. And in the bottom right, in the blue, our Zerg player from Canada, give it up for Scarlett!
I think the crowd might be on Scarlett's side here.
Call it a hunch.
Tasteless.
I think you're right.
Well, we are on Frozen Temple.
That's right.
Definitely one of my favorite new maps. A lot of action can happen here, and a lot of different attack paths. I think that can go very well for Scarlett's type of style, but we'll see. Everything kind of standard in this opening.
Yeah, so far it's all very textbook. We have Gateway and Cybernetics Core with some teching up here. A Nexus coming down. puCK immediately coming across the map is going to be able to deny the planting of the hatchery by having the probe present over there. We do have a second hatchery already up over just to the left of the screen here at what would normally be in a standard game, the third base for the Zerg.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you are forced into this, especially on these small two-player maps. A player like puCK is going to take advantage of that and make you plant the hatchery a lot further away than you'd prefer. But, you know, it's only a temporary thing, and Scarlett hasn't really missed a beat here.
No, definitely not. I mean, this is, of course, kind of the right of the player if he knows the opposing starting location to come in there and begin to tool around and do any kind of denials or delays or any kind of dictation on what the other player has to do and therefore respond. Kind of put the Protoss player in a little bit more of a comfortable position, give him a little bit of a peace of mind, but it's certainly, as you were saying, not something that Scarlett cannot handle.
No, certainly not. She's very used to that on the Korean server. Now, puCK going immediately into a Twilight Council. Quite a quick one. Could be for Glaives. Adepts are very popular in this matchup right now.
That's right, and we're going to see that upgrade probably pop out here in a second. Two Lings do come up here and make a beeline up into the main, and that's to do some scouting here, ideally maybe get a probe or at least interrupt some mining. And as you can see, coming here right now, I got to say Scarlett's going to have a very good idea of what's occurring so far in this game.
Yeah, this was a very... Oh, my God. She actually got a probe there. That's kind of awesome.
Well, normally you don't actually get a probe. You delay it. I mean, in a perfect world, you get the probe, but got to say, nicely done there. Also driving that Adept back early on. You know, it's little victories sometimes. It's a victory of many little paper cuts, but Scarlett's off to a very good start. Oh, and maybe you're going to get the Adept here.
Wow, killing off an Adept as well. She's gotten a probe. She's scouted the tech. She's killed the Adept, taken no damage from the Adept. This is going fantastically.
Yeah, this could not be better so far for Scarlett. It's nothing major, again, but they're all good indicators for her. Yeah. We have a Roach War now coming down here from Scarlett on 3 bases, a robotics facility nearing completion. Do you think there's a possibility we're going to have a warp gate right away coming out here, or would it just be an observer tag?
Well, you know, we could see that prism coming out for sure.
Especially with Glaives, right?
Yeah, it just kind of makes sense. Now, warp gate is finished. Some more Adepts will be warped in. Of course, we could see puCK just go over and take his third base pretty quickly. Very popular to do that against Zerg as well.
Certainly. Well, there is that warp prism. Now, the general rule of thumb is if we see the warp prism being made, they're going to use it upon it being released into the actual game. You don't normally make a warp prism and stay back with it. And it looks like puCK probably going to expand with this, and then I would guess push out as long as he feels comfortable enough with his Adepts, or the few 1 or 2 he may even have back at home to try to help fend off anything.
Scarlett, though, right now making a ton of units. 8 Roaches about to pop. A lot of speed Zerglings on the way behind that as well. So definitely she's going to have enough units to either attack or defend against these Adepts.
Now, important to note is that the longer Protoss stays on Adepts, the slower the rest of the tech is. So it's very important that the Protoss not lose all these Adepts without doing a tremendous amount of damage, or at least at the minimum, keeping them alive. A good counterattack over here by Scarlett, hitting this Nexus, and I think it will be denied.
Great move there by Scarlett. In the meantime, we do have puCK trying to attack with Adepts. Some great defense here with the Roaches and Lings, and they do have to back up. No real damage done yet.
Yeah, so far so good. Protoss still on 2 bases that may actually force puCK to commit even further here. You can see puCK trying to outmaneuver Scarlett here with those Adept Shades. Meanwhile, a Warp Prism headed over here to what looks like is going to be the second base.
All right, those Adepts could do some serious damage to the drones if Scarlett is not on top of it, but in the meantime, she does pick off all those Adepts in the middle. A few drones do go down, but she forces this back as well.
And so far, so good here for Scarlett, really shutting down every attack over here on this side of the map. I believe at least one of these Adepts, no, maybe none of them, are going to be picked off in a Dark Shrine. This is a little bit of an indicator of desperation right now from puCK. if the Dark Templar tech is doubly more important and required to do damage, even more so than the Adept. So puCK is really committing to getting into Scarlett's face right now.
Yeah, and he hasn't really done that much, a few drones here and there, but so far the defense of Scarlett is quite strong, and she already has a couple spores out, so I don't know if the Dark Templars are going to find that much damage, but look at this tech, Tasteless, going right into the Spire.
Well, this could be very strong, especially if the DTs aren't turned into Archons right away, and of course, even if they are turned into Archons, it's not that hard to outmaneuver Archons with Mutalisks, for instance. So that's definitely something else to keep in mind. We got another hatchery coming down here for Scarlett as well, really beginning to build up that war machine that's going to allow her to fund a huge army later on.
Look at this. She's even getting an Overseer right now, so Dark Templar is going to be even less useful.
That's right.
A Baneling Nest on the way as well. I'm really liking where Scarlett's going with this. She's super mobile right now and really hasn't taken that much damage in the early game.
You're really seeing that refined style that we see from a lot of the Koreans in the GSL Code S, where they just seem to cross all their T's and dot all their I's. Doing a fantastic job here of kind of being ready for everything, playing really safe, having a very rounded style of play. The Adepts are going to come in here. Now that Warp Prism quite low. I don't know if she'll be able to, if he'll be able to come back and actually rescue these Adepts, which are now only killing 4 drones so far.
Well, they do shade into that main base and will get some more drones. This is the first really effective harass here from puCK. Very well done for just 3 or 4 Adepts. He gets 9 drones.
And Scarlett's been doing a very good job, by the way, of pushing the creep out on the map. So the possibility of a counterattack is a very realistic thing. Also, Scarlett cleaning up different areas of the map to make sure that the circulation for the Zerg army is going to be quite clean. Meanwhile, we have about, I think, we're going to have about a dozen mutas coming up here, which could be a lot of damage here if Protoss isn't 100% prepared.
Well, Blink isn't quite done yet. We don't really have any defensive cannons or anything, I don't think. The DT coming in, though, for puCK. This is really nice. The drones start to fall immediately and do have to be pulled back, but I don't think that puCK is fully ready for Mutalisk harassment.
Yeah, I don't feel like he is back at his base. I mean, yes, he has a Stalkers, but as you were saying, Blink's not quite done. We don't really have any static defense here to help fend that off. And even with Blink, if you don't have enough in every location to just stabilize when you're attacked, the Zerg can actually, really wreak havoc on everything and then usually manage to escape.
Well, right now, Scarlett going for quite a few spine crawlers, so preparing for a counterattack. You know, when you go for Mutalisks, a lot of the time, that is going to be what you see from Protoss, a big, strong attack, because Mutalisks are more for harassing, not as good at defending. puCK right now in a very defensive position.
Now, Scarlett doesn't have to engage fully here. She can just try to do some damage and then continue to occupy the bottom center of the map. The Muta's now coming in here, doing a little bit of damage. Now, Blink is done. It is available right now, which means Scarlett's going to have to be very careful. If these Mutas are caught, this game will turn upside down, and Scarlett will be in very bad condition.
But so far, so good. 6 probes go down. The Lings actually come up now. Not sure that these are going to do that much. She does pull back immediately. Has quite a few Ravagers here to go with them as well. And she hasn't really overcommitted to these Mutas quite yet. I think she's gone up to about 7 or 8. And so far, the damage is okay.
Yeah, so far so good. And sometimes if you undermake the Mutas, the Protoss actually ends up overcompensating to the threat of the air, and then you've redirected the army setup that Protoss has. And what you're actually making, in this case for Scarlett, it'll be Zerglings and Ravagers. That could then be much stronger in a fight.
In fact, she's making a ton of Zerglings right now.
That's right.
Just a ridiculous amount. And she already has +2 attack for them. She has a Baneling Nest. I believe she has Baneling Speed as well. So definitely could turn on that big attack anytime soon. In fact, a little harassment coming up with these Zerglings right now.
And actually taking a lot of that energy away there on that Mothership core for another attack that could be happening right now.
Look at this. Scarlett hitting this 4th base area, forcing a cancel immediately. In the meantime, the Mutalisks drawing more overcharges in the main base, killing more probes as well, and defending at her new base.
This may force puCK into trying to attack in here and do as much damage as he can possibly do, because Scarlett already ahead in the 4th base, and it looks like Scarlett's continuing to expand around the map. puCK in the bottom left is not going to be able to challenge these other bases over here, and Scarlett may just be too big at this point.
Yeah, she is really playing Zerg, as you can see.
Right.
Creep everywhere, bases popping up all over the place. A ton of Banelings just morphed. This is scary stuff for puCK.
With the Lings and the Banelings and the Ravagers, there's a lot of huge explosive damage that can occur, especially if the Lings get a good surround there on the Protoss. It'll be very easy for Scarlett to pick and choose where damage is distributed without really giving Protoss a lot of opportunities to respond.
A lot of speed Banelings coming in towards this third base. There's a lot of probes there. This could be huge right now for Scarlett. Rolls right in, 17, 20, 30 probes go down.
And this is a ton of damage continuing to be dealt down over here at the fourth base. The corrosive biles are being shot forward, but the Protoss army still sophisticated enough that Scarlett deems it necessary to try to retreat, but taking out, what, 30 probes so far. And of course, Scarlett is already remaking this army now. About 40 Lings hatching here, and then 13 Mutalisks.
Well, that is a big deal indeed. If she can just clear this out and not lose a base, it's going to be huge for her. Should be able to take a gigantic lead off of that. In fact, already pushing puCK's army back. Oh my God, I think that she's almost won this game.
I think, yeah, there it is. GG! Scarlett easily takes game number 1 with some technical shifts in the unit composition, with great expanding, with great map control. That looked very easy for Scarlett.
Yeah, that was a pretty one-sided game that we just saw right there. Just fantastic swarming Zerg style coming out of Scarlett. A very crisp style as well, using those Mutalisks early on, blocking all of the harassment puCK was trying. puCK put up a pretty valiant effort, but it didn't feel like he was ever really ahead of her.
No, it really didn't. Also, I want to highlight the fact that because Scarlett went for the really Link-heavy style, you're allowed to make some mistakes with that, right? Lings are literally the most expendable units in the game. So that was really good decision-making by her and good execution as well. And I totally agree with what you were saying, Artos, is that there wasn't really a moment where puCK was ahead. It was just Scarlett getting further and further a lead in that race and eventually almost lapping puCK back there.
Yeah. By the end there, you know, puCK was forced into an attack after losing 30 probes at that third base. It's like his economy is dead. He has to get something done, especially when she spent that much money on the attack with the Banelings, but it was not even close. Look at this move once again. Just crazy the damage that came in, and immediately Scarlett hit the other end.
I want to point something out about that attack. Normally you see the big attack first and then the Banelings come in to try to wipe out the workers, but it looks like what Scarlett wanted to do is draw puCK's attention over there and have all the Banelings connect with the really central Protoss units that puCK is trying to develop the entire game. Now, what's surprising is that the Banelings still killed all those workers, but what was impressive is that puCK actually shut Protoss down. Whenever Protoss are playing, they're trying to build a more and more sophisticated army with different units that have different tools at their disposal, so any fight you have can work for you, and Scarlett won on both fronts. Introducing our players now for game number 2. In the bottom left, in the red, from the US of A, give it up for puCK! And in the upper right, in the blue, on her home turf, make some noise for Scarlett!
All right, here we go. Galactic Fortress, and it looks like we actually have a very quick spawning pool with gas, so Scarlett might be going for a rush to open this one up.
Yeah, Scarlett really shifting gears over here. This is kind of cool. You know, Scarlett already showing us that she's fine in a macro game, but this is how, you know, any, for instance, Korean pro would end up winning in a series where there's multiple games back to back. Is that you can't just do the ladder build over and over, right? You can't just say, well, I know this one strat, and if I just do it over and over again, you know, I should win, because unlike in a ladder game where you might be playing a different person every time, when you have to win at least 3 games in a series, the other player is adapting. So Scarlett opening up with a different type of build, a different flavor. Let's see how puCK works with it.
Well, puCK right now, chrono boosting out a Zealot to help defend against this. More Zerglings on the way for Scarlett. That's really important to just kind of keep track. Does she switch into drones, or is she really going for it? Is she going to just try to kill him no matter what? And this is some pretty heavy pressure already.
That's right. We already see a couple probes are being pulled here. There's definitely a lot of pressure here at the front. Scarlett also not overextending. Meanwhile, going to take out this scouting probe. This is going to give a lot of map control to Scarlett right away.
There's no way for puCK to actually scout what's going on. Like, as far as puCK knows, Scarlett could be going for a Baneling Nest. She could be going for a double hatchery, mass Zerglings, Overlord drops. There's just no way for him to tell.
Well, this is a very old technique that Zergs have been using even before StarCraft 2, where they get a couple lings out, they get the speed out, and it keeps Protoss in the dark. Protoss wants to be, try to get as much tech out as possible, but hold on! We actually have the lings breaching! The lings have broken in!
And they've killed that Zealot, killing off these probes now as well. The Speedlings getting inside and surrounding this Adept. The Adept will deal some damage to them, but more Speedlings coming down.
That may just be game right here. This pylon about to be taken out. And without the pylon here, that's right, that's going to unpower that gateway, making Protoss completely naked here. No way to get the defense necessary to stop this rush.
Oh, the Mothership Core's trying to come out to save puCK right now, but he is in a ton of trouble. These Speedlings going to go right in that mineral line, and the probes are starting to fall.
Really good control there by Scarlett early on, and taking out this pylon, if she can do it, would stop the real utility of this Mothership Core in this game.
All right, finally the Mothership Core comes out, but she takes down the pylon in a matter of seconds, losing only a few Zerglings. The probe's starting to get taken out once again, and this is already too much damage, I would say.
I think you're basically right, Artosis. There's too many lings at the front here. Too many probes have been killed off, and that's going to do it. GG! Scarlett takes game number 2 in what I dare say is the speedrun best of 5 for today's tournament games.
Yeah, pretty crazy how quickly she's dismantling him right now. You know, I feel like Scarlett is just proving what I've heard about Canadians. They're really good at hitting pucks.
I gotta say, man, we cast so many games all the time where there is some kind of pressure early on at the entrance for the Protoss's base, and like 95% of the time at very high level play, the Protoss gets by.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I want to talk about something very briefly because that rush activated so quickly and it started to work so quickly. We didn't get to really touch upon it, but the problem for Protoss is that they don't know if Zerg is still making drones or they're still making Zerglings. So if the Protoss over-defends and the Zerg is making drones, then the Zerg's ahead. If the Protoss under-defends, then we see what happens right there.
The Protoss is dead.
The Protoss is dead, that's right. So here was the breach. Now, it was the Ling that got in with the back, and then when he was trying to rearrange the probes, we had about 4 more Lings get over there, and the probes have to have some kind of a hallway to fight the Lings in. If they get in, it's like a zombie flick, right? I mean, once the zombies breach the front door, they get in there and they kill everybody, and that's basically what we saw here.
The probes are popping up as new zombie Lings, and it just, everything goes wrong there. And, I mean, she just bulldozed her way through there. I really like the variety of strategies she's bringing here, Tasteless.
It's pretty impressive, Artie. Let's go ahead and introduce our players again. We're already in game number 3. From the United States, in the red, he needs to come back. He is puCK! And in the bottom right, she only needs to win 1 more game. In the blue, she is Scarlett!
Again, Tasteless, we see a fast spawning pool.
If it doesn't work, or if it's not broke, don't fix it, Artosis.
And also, I do want to mention, Dasan Station. First time we've seen it here today on the main stream.
That's right. This is, whoa, okay.
Is this an offensive hatchery at his gold base?
Yeah, it is. Now, really quickly before the action picks up, Zerg can put pressure on the front while actually, even if it's just a few workers, mining from this gold base.
Yeah.
that could be very hard. Now, obviously, the negative side of this is that the Protoss can be right up at this, essentially an expansion hatchery, and do a lot of damage. But it seems like Scarlett has devised a build specifically for this situation on this map. So we're going to see how well this actually pans out here. It does look like, though, puCK is not going to shy away from it. He is trying to force Scarlett back, and if this doesn't work for Scarlett, she'll have a very tough time stabilizing in this game.
Now that pylon you see, that's a really smart pylon. It's not for overcharge, it's to put the Zealot in so it can't get surrounded as easily. So there we go, puCK moves that Zealot down. He's going to micro back and forth here. He really wants to stop this hatchery.
Now the hatchery is very low on HP. There's a drone just outside of vision. Scarlett wants to get over there and start to plant some kind of defense over here.
The Zergling's trying to get some sort of work done, but so far this is a fantastic defense by puCK. He's holding on to everything. The drones coming in. Looks like they will start mining maybe a little bit here, but this Zealot is just being worth so much, Tasteless.
Yeah, and I love what you're putting out with this pylon situation here. I think that this might not actually work here for Scarlett, but the hatchery's still alive, and actually enough lings here. The Zealot blocked off with more lings reinforcing.
And Scarlett somehow breaks through that defense, throws on a spine as well. A queen is on the way, more Zerglings also. Great play here by Scarlett, and puCK is caught completely off guard.
Now, Scarlett's gonna back off, but only for a second. She's laying down some creep tumor. She's starting to build a spine crawler out here. Now, had that hatchery been killed off, this game would look very different. But Scarlett, the last second, with very good link control, by the way, some of the best we've seen, actually, is managing to continue to push in here. And I just don't know if puCK is going to be able to hold this, especially not after losing another Zergling.
Oh, man, this is not going well right now for puCK. We have that mothership core floating over here, dealing what damage it can. And an Adept does pop out as well, but with the queen and this many lings, this is a ton of damage to that front wall.
And the spine crawler is now pushing up down here in the bottom left-hand side of our screen. The mothership core is low. Scarlett is going to breach the defenses of puCK.
Oh, puCK is going to get his buildings unpowered here. The queens continue to push forward. And it looks like Scarlett might be taking a very fast 3-0.
In record-breaking time, I think Scarlett's going to win this game. She is so close to the Nexus, there's just nothing that puCK can do.
The spine crawler up here, the Zerg creep getting straight into the Protoss space, and that is that. puCK is giving it up.
And, yeah, puCK is going to be tapping out. There it is. Scarlett has 3-0'd puCK in a series that is so fast, I don't even feel like I got to warm up to cast it.
I know. Just fantastically played. Guys, give it up for your fellow Canadian Scarlett. Oh, tasteless.
Oh my God.
That was fast. That was. I thought that True versus Snoot was fast, but I mean,
what is going on, man? That was so short.
That
how
home field
long
advantage.
were we even up here for?
It was like 5 minutes. Apollo says it was 5 minutes. It's all it takes, sir. I don't know.
I've never casted a best of 5 that ended that fast.
Yeah, no, that was really, really speedy. She was super aggressive in these games.
That was crazy. There's not even a whole lot to really talk about because puCK was broken so fast. That was a cool strat. puCK was trying his very best, and we saw the idea with the pylon to zone out the otherlings so that the Zealot could get in between it. But the hatchery survives, and of course, when Protoss is trying to get onto the low ground to eliminate the hatchery, if he loses his units on the low ground, I mean, there's nothing at the ramp. The ramp is like, you know, a quarter of a second away travel time.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's right there, especially with that creep and all. I mean, puCK has started with such a fantastic defense, but at the end of the day, the 2 hatchery Zerglings pumping out, the fact that Scarlett had a queen on the way as well, kind of put a timer on all this, just very, very well done.
Yeah, it was really impressive. We saw there were just enough lings that all had like just a few HP as well as the drones here. And when this Zealot, this one that just died right there, just died right there. I like reached out and poked it and it disappeared. I didn't know we were going to transition like that. That's it. Smix, how is Scarlett doing?
Thank you very much, Tasis. Well, she has been nothing but smiles here. I'm sure you're ecstatic to be moving on to the top 16 here in your home country. I don't know if you could hear it in the booth, but the fans here have been no doubt waiting all day for this game to cheer for you, and they have been just cheering non-stop. I mean, I just felt like this was like a Ronda Rousey match or something. They waited all day, and then that was the quickest 3-0 ever. Did you think it would be that easy?
I didn't actually think it'd be that quick. I did want to play a bit aggressive. I've been doing that a lot in ZvP lately. But yeah, it's great playing in front of a home crowd. I haven't really played in a couple years in front of a home crowd, and last time I didn't do so well, so hopefully I can show some good games for a while in this tournament.
This crowd is definitely going to be behind your back throughout your road at this tournament. But let's speak a little bit more about just your preparation for this event in general. Obviously, this is a very important tournament, a lot riding here. And I know that your first opponent was puCK, and we saw you absolutely just crush him. But I know that that dynamic is different just because I know that personally you guys are very good friends. But at the same time, know that as a player, you are a very confident player. So when you looked at your bracket and when it came to preparation, how did you decide to tackle it?
Well, yeah, it's kind of annoying that we have to play each other because we are good friends, but I had NSL last weekend actually, and I was only practicing against Protoss for there, so it kind of helped going into this tournament that I get to play Protoss first round as well. So, yeah, that definitely. My bracket obviously is, I think, one of the harder ones.
Yeah, it's definitely very difficult.
So I couldn't really only prepare for the first match, so I've been kind of practicing all around, but at the same time, I didn't get too much time to focus on each specific player because I have been traveling a lot lately.
That's true.
I mean, first of all, of course, congratulations. I actually watched the games from the audience here, and they were awesome. I mean, that was a really cool experience, you know, even when you go to all the events, so it was fun. I mean, normally I sit there and I think about the games and I take some notes, you know, like, oh, that was really cool, but I don't really know where to begin. I mean, I must say, I think your adept defense was phenomenal in game one. That is a lot harder than it looks. We often see Zergs lose so many drones there. I guess this is something you've worked on very hard in Korea in the recent weeks, or?
Yeah, especially when I play against Neeb, it feels so much harder than anyone else. So I feel like if I can defend it against him, I can defend it against anyone. So
yeah, I think on one point you killed 8 adepts, and I think all you lost was like 3 drones and 8 links. I mean, that's like ridiculous, right?
yeah, I was actually surprised how well it was going. Usually it doesn't go that well, so it made me happy, yeah.
Yeah, it was perfect the way you split up the roaches. I mean, the second map, that's obviously a build, a very aggressive build, but I think it makes a lot of sense on Galactic Process, where a lot of Proto players go for relatively greedy builds, but of course there is so much area to cover. I mean, is this the reason why you went for this aggressive link build?
Well, I've been like doing 13-12 on and off for a long time in Legacy, and I always like to be able to throw it in sometimes, and I saw that in a recent tournament, he went Nexus first with a pylon very far forward on this map, so I felt like he couldn't really defend it. I think it actually was harder than I thought, given his build for me. So yeah, it was just like a choice based on what I thought he'd do.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense on that map. I think it's a lot of pros play very greedy, and then you still see Zergs often go like hatch and then make a couple links. It's like, no, just hold down the link button. You know, I think you can do a lot here. So it's good to see someone actually doing it and being very successful with it. And then the last map, I mean, there are a lot of Zerg players out there that say, I don't even want to touch Dust on Station. I mean, like, I don't want to get on that map. Let's veto it. Why do you like it?
I don't really like it.
Okay.
The problem with always vetoing it, though, is that then they just never have to prepare for Zerg on that map. So it's nice to be able to have some things that you can throw in, so they don't just expect you to veto it, and then you can veto another map that's not the best for Zerg.
I mean, it's obviously a great start to your run. Are the WCS Global Players dreams still alive? I think this entire crowd will come to Anaheim.
Well, I know that you just defeated puCK in a very convincing fashion here, but of course up next you have a very, very tough opponent, Montreal, also a recent champion, also a former teammate of yours. So going into that matchup, it's a ZvZ. I know formerly you've expressed to me that ZvZ was not a matchup you liked, but it has been some time since then. So what are your thoughts on that potential upcoming matchup, rather?
It's one of the harder ones, but honestly I don't mind it that much. I played Nurcho 2 lands ago at Home Story Cup, and I did beat him in the semifinals.
3-2.
So I feel like, 3-2. So I feel like that gives me a bit more confidence in it. But I did lose to him twice this year as well, so.
Okay, and I have to ask this question because Scarlett, there's no doubt in the world, everyone knows the potential you have and everyone has seen how great of a player you are. We are here in Canada. I know that we haven't seen you in terms of just straight up results. We haven't seen I know you got second at Home Story Cup, but in terms of a tournament of this size, of this caliber, we haven't seen you kind of reach that further in that stage. So with this crowd behind you, can we see that happen with their support?
Yeah, I hope so. It makes me a little nervous playing in front of such a crowd because there's such high expectations. But yeah.
All right. Well, no doubt, everyone will be cheering for you. I'll be cheering for you as well. Best of luck in the round of 16, of course, guys. With that, 16 players are out, but we do have 16 moving on towards day 2 of the WCS Summer Championship. We'll see how that works out as we'll have 4 players left at the end of tomorrow. But for now, let's wrap it up with Sean at the desk.
Thank you very much, Mix, and congratulations one last time to Scarlett as she does move on to the round of 16. Joining me on the desk to wrap up the evening, to wrap up the day here at the WCS Summer Championship, Nathanias and Tastosis. Have you gained control of yourselves after that series?
I just can't believe how short that was. That was so fast. I was saying in the catch, I didn't even feel like I warmed up.
Yeah,
I feel like normally it takes me 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but that was going so fast. I was like, okay,
you never found your caster stride.
I never found my stride there, but
you and puCK both, unfortunately.
That was a real special series to cast. It really goes to show you how confident Scarlett is, how much she's improved. That's what I feel like. Thank you for listening, guys. Thank you for giving me a safe place to say it. I'm really impressed.
We're here for you, Nick.
Thank you, guys.
I'm really proud of him.
Disappointing series to say the least for anybody cheering for puCK. He already, the first thing he did was leak tweets that's probably the worst series I've ever played. As his friend, I can't disagree. I think a lot of people expected a lot more. That was extremely sloppy, the way that he handled the second and the third game, but Scarlett has also got a lot of momentum behind her, and I think that a lot of players are expecting her to do better against the other opponents that she would face. I would certainly favor Scarlett over puCK against someone like Nurchio to a pretty big degree, so it makes sense. It's very well played by her, and I'm excited to see her go further in the tournament.
You know what also
if she can.
You know what also is interesting is that those games are so short, we don't even really know what Scarlett's late game looks like at all, right?
Yeah.
You didn't have a lot that you could glean from. If you're somebody playing Scarlett down the road, you could really expect anything, right?
Most other Protoss that she would face here aren't also going to build a ton of Blink Stalkers in the mid game as well against that. So.
That's true as well.
Nate, that's why you're up here for this part.
There's one thing I know. If there's one Protoss thing I know, it is puCK. So.
Let's take a quick look at the bracket then, and so we can see the 16 players that have now made it to the next stage as we get closer to finding out perhaps a new champion, a new player that could play at the global playoffs, and of course all the WCS points that are on the line. A lot of cool matchups that are going to be taking place tomorrow. Of course, there'll be 2 streams again. Base Trade TV will be covering one half, we'll be covering the other half as we look to move forward to the round of 8. Artosis, thoughts on the games tomorrow?
I mean, there's a lot of really good ones in there. True vs. Hearthstone is going to be one of my personal favorites. Definitely hope to be a part of that. And, of course, the rematch from Shanghai, Neeb versus Euthermal. What the hell? And, of course, I mean, I'm just going to read all of them like some other people do, like every match here, because they're all so exciting. But Nurchio Scarlett, of course, that's crazy.
Here are the games that will be happening on this stream tomorrow. We'll be opening up apparently with Violet versus Major, through to True vs. Hearthstone, Tudming versus Pult, and of course, Scarlett versus Nurchio.
Yeah, these matches all look really sick, and thinking back to Shanghai and how all of that ended, I wonder if Neeb's sitting somewhere thinking, I really hope I play on the B stream, and I don't have to play versus Terran on the stage again, because that seems to be his only real weakness, is playing against Terrans on the big stage when there's a lot of eyeballs on him. I think he would rather play this one a little bit tucked back, so very excited to see how that rematch goes specifically tomorrow.
Yeah, final thoughts on today, Tasteless and Artosis, and hopes for tomorrow?
Great day. Really great day to open up the Summer Championships, and I hope that you guys help us spread the word about it. I want more people in here watching tomorrow, and couldn't have asked for a more exciting first day.
Tasteless, last words to Canada?
It's my first time down here. Great city, great audience. and great games today.
All right,
Couldn't ask for a better day.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's time for us to take leave and get ready for tomorrow's action. The round of 16 and round of 8 will be happening tomorrow. We're looking forward to that one. One last thank you to our sponsors, of course, Zowie, Razer, G2A, Monster Energy, and Alienware. We're done for today. We'll see you tomorrow. Day 2 begins same time as today.